to the Who Dat Nation, and welcome to the Dome Patrol podcast, your podcast for the New Orleans Saints here on the KB Radio Network. How are we doing, everybody? I am your host, Kevin Reed, and the NFL Draft, the 2024 NFL Draft, should I say, and the picks are in for the New Orleans Saints and the Who Dat Nation going forward. We have 7 young new members to the Who Dat Nation, and all of them were needs. I am surprisingly happy with this draft for the most part. I'm not over the moon. I'm not screaming Super Bowl at the top of my lungs here, but I'm happy with the picks that were picked in this year's draft because needs were addressed. Needs. And if you were going into this draft listing the biggest needs for the New Orleans Saints in no particular order, you would say offensive lineman, you would say wide receiver, you would say somebody in the secondary, and all of those positions were addressed. And I think the best at those positions at the point of when the Saints were drafting, they got the best they can get out of this draft. And I'm happy with it. You know, they didn't have to mortgage the future for the next 3 years to get what they particularly needed to move forward. Because here's my theory when it comes to the New Orleans Saints. Yes, we had a lot of needs, but at the same time, the Saints aren't a bad team talent-wise. Now, we're missing some pieces like any other team in the NFL. Yeah, we're missing pieces there to bring us to the next level, but not major, not to the point where the Saints will be 1-16 next season. I'm not going that far. You know, we're pretty good talent-wise. You know, in this offseason, the Saints, and my biggest addressed need was the offensive line because it's telling, and it was telling last year during the season. You know, we're missing a lot on that offensive line. Andrus Peat is no longer here, even though I have a feeling he might come back because nobody else has picked him up. But as it stands right now, he's not on the team. Ryan Ramczyk is all but out, all but retired because of his injuries that he just can't shake off. And that's a huge blow to the New Orleans Saints offensive line, being as though he's one of the best offensive linemen in all of football. And so that's something that you just can't, you know, plug and play. You know, you need to get something of some quality to actually replace what we're going to be missing there. As far as wide receiver, Michael Thomas is no longer on the team, which is a possibility. Maybe he come back here, you know, because nobody has picked him up, which is kind of surprising to me. Nobody has signed Michael Thomas, you know, throughout this whole free agency period. Nobody. I don't even think he went in for a workout with anybody else. It's mind-boggling to me. But I think I don't think he's coming back though, because he burnt a lot of bridges on the way out of New Orleans. But that's neither here nor there. But that position needed to be addressed. Yes, we have Chris Olave, we have Shaheed, A.T. Perry. Yes, we have some pieces there, but we can always improve in that arena. We had a need at linebacker. Yes, we have Demario Davis, and Demario Davis is getting a little long in the tooth. Still playing at a high quality, still one of the best linebackers in the league, but he can be a liability in pass coverage. So you do need another linebacker to come in and help in that area. We also have a need at defensive end. Speaking of long in the tooth, we Cam Jordan is getting up there. He's not as explosive as he once was, but we need a need there, not only in his side, but on the other side as well. Now, Carl Granderson did an excellent job last season, but there's no help there. You know, you have Peyton Turner, who can't stay healthy. You have Isaac Forsky, who they drafted a couple of years ago, he can't even get on the field. You know, it's just, is a big need at defensive end. Now, that was somewhat addressed in free agency with the acquisition of Chase Young, but Chase Young is coming in with a neck issue. He had surgery and whatnot. He should be ready for camp and all this here. That's good. But Chase Young is Chase Young. Chase Young is known for taking plays off. He is known for not being available for 16 games or 17 games. So that's somewhat of a liability. So that kind of needs to be addressed too, even though that particular position wasn't addressed in this draft, which didn't bother me at all because in recent history, Saints have whiffed in the draft when it came to defensive end. But that's neither here nor there. Let's get into the 2024 Saints NFL draft picks. And I these are sneaky good picks. I think all 7 picks were good picks, solid picks, nothing that will, set the world on fire, but I think will be very important moving forward in this organization. The Saints had 1 first round pick at number 14, offensive tackle out of Oregon State, Taliesin Fuanga, who is a 6'6", 334-pound behemoth of a human being. That is a huge young man. He is an offensive tackle who can also play guard, and that's going to be poignant with the New Orleans Saints because they always put their offensive lineman out of position anyway. And so if he's able to play different positions on that offensive line, that's nothing but a plus. With his 4 years at Oregon State, Taliesin only gave up 1 sack, in his whole collegiate career. That is great. Now, I want to be excited for this. I do. I want to be excited for this. But I was so excited for Trevor Penning, that pick. I was super excited for that. And I ultimately was let down, as we all were in the Who Dat Nation. I don't think we're going to get that with Taliesin, but I think I'm saying his name right. But I don't want to get my hopes up too high. But I think this is a real solid pick for the New Orleans Saints. This guy is a monster, going by what I read up on him about. But I think the Saints, I said earlier, the Saints didn't make any sexy picks. I think they did in the second round. I guess you can classify as a sexy pick. In the second round, with the 41st pick in the draft, the Saints select cornerback out of Alabama, Kool-Aid McKinley. And we're going to have fun with his name, Kool-Aid. But I watched Kool-Aid. I watched him at Alabama, cornerback, real good, real solid cornerback. He's 6'1", 145 pounds. He can play man. He can also play zone. Last year, he did what he did last year with a hurt foot. Now, he's still dealing with that foot, which is kind of par for the course when it comes to Saints draft picks, always getting somebody who's hurt. But he did what he did with that foot last season. And the dude is in the SEC, that's the best place you can get defensive players because you're going up against juggernauts throughout the SEC. And he went to Alabama. He learned under the great Nick Saban. So that is very encouraging, very, very encouraging. In 3 seasons at Alabama, Kool-Aid recorded 92 tackles, 5 stops for loss, 2 sacks, 2 interceptions, 25 pass defenses. Very, very durable cornerback. The only question I have is how is this cornerback room going to look? We already have Marshawn Lattimore. We already have Alontae Taylor, Paulson Adebo. How is all of this going to fit? Whose spot is he coming after? You know what I'm saying? How is this going to work? Who's going to play nickel? And so on and so forth. So I'm curious to see how Dennis Allen and Joe Woods put this defense together where all three of these dynamic cornerbacks can be on the field at the same time and not lose a step. And so, yes, that was your second overall pick in the Saints draft. Our third pick didn't come till the fifth round. Saints did not have a third or fourth round pick this year, but they had, I think, four fifth round picks, if I'm not mistaken, but we'll go through them. But in the fifth round, at number 150, the New Orleans Saints draft quarterback out of South Carolina, Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler is one of those quarterbacks whose name I heard throughout the football season, college football season last year. The problem was he didn't have an offensive line, so he was running for his life most of the season. But he is a pretty good quarterback. And a lot of draft analysts and a lot of NFL analysts have said if he was on a different team, if he went to a different school and played under a different program, he would have been a top 10 pick. Now, I respect that, but you can make that argument for everybody in in the NFL or in college football, should I say. If they're on a different team, they would be better. Well, if I had $1 million, I'll be rich. So that doesn't say much. But Spencer Rattler, he's 6 feet tall. He's 211 pounds. He spent two seasons with the Gamecocks over there in South Carolina after beginning his collegiate career at Oklahoma. He played in 48 career games, posting a 28-14 record in 42 starts. He completed 900 out of his 1,313 career passes. That's a 68.5% completion percentage, I should say, for 10,807 yards with 77 touchdowns and 32 interceptions. He threw at least one touchdown pass in 32 of his 42 career starts. He finished his career in South Carolina fifth all time in passing yardage with 6,212 yards. He also ranked first in Carolina history in career completion percentage, .675. Fifth in career completion, 523, and ninth in career touchdown passes with 37, despite playing only 2 seasons with the Gamecocks. So that is an accomplishment. You know, most of those records were broken by quarterbacks who played 4 years at that school. And he's ranked that high. We talking all time. He's ranked that high after only 2 years. Now, does that mean he's going to come in and press Derek Carr for that starting job? No. And let's not forget that the Saints did just draft a quarterback last season with Jake Hader. I don't know what this pick means, to be honest with you. It's a good pick if the Saints are looking for the future. You get what I'm saying? If they're looking for something to build on in 2-3 years tops, you know, we'll have something there instead of what we went through after Drew Brees retired. You know, scrambling, trying to figure out what to do. We have something on the roster, in the room, in the building that we can rely on. And so that's a smart move. It's the same thing Atlanta did. And I hate to bring up Atlanta and their accomplishments, but they actually did something smart. At the time, it seemed stupid when they draft Michael Penix Jr. after they just gave Kirk Cousins all that money. But actually, it was smart because Kirk Cousins, the past couple of seasons, has not stayed healthy. Kirk Cousins is only there for maybe, 2 years tops? And then what? Because 9 times out of 10, they won't be picking top 10. So it would make sense to get a top 10 quarterback, even though we didn't need one at the time. Let's secure one right now. So I get the pick. I was mad at the pick, still mad at the pick. But if the Saints are in a slick style way trying to do the same thing, fine. I'm with that. Plus, you know, I think if Derek Carr doesn't get it together this year, there's going to be more calling for his head that he's already getting right now. And so now will be the time to do it. So yes, I think it was a good pickup. I'm not mad at it at all. Spencer Rattler, now a New Orleans Saint. In the next pick for the New Orleans Saints, which was 20 picks later in the fifth round at number 170, the Saints addressed their wide receiver need with wide receiver out of Pittsburgh, Bud Means. And Bud is a cool name as well. He is a 6'2", 222-pound wide receiver. Um, when he played for Pittsburgh, he started 10 games last season at wide receiver. He won honorable mention in all ACC, compiling 41 receptions for 721 yards. That's 17.6 average per catch and 6 touchdowns. Now, Bud started his collegiate career at Tennessee, where he was teammates with Alontae Taylor nonetheless. He also played 2 years at Louisiana Tech, and his last 2 seasons were at Pitt. His final season at Pitt, he played all 12 games. He started in 10 of them, as I said earlier, and could be a welcomed addition to this wide receiver room. I think any help is good help. So we'll wait and see if Bud Means will make an impact for the New Orleans Saints in the upcoming season and the future as a whole. 5 picks later in the fifth round at number 175, the Saints picked up a linebacker from Texas, Jalen Ford. Jalen Ford is 6'3", 242 pounds. He played all 4 of his college years at Texas. He finished his career with 287 tackles. 141 of them were solo, including 27.5 stops for loss, and added 3 sacks, 6 interceptions, 10 pass defenses, 4 forced fumbles, 3 fumble recoveries as a linebacker for the Texas Longhorns. This guy, I seen him play. I'm proud to say that I witnessed this in in live action, or at least on television. I was impressed by him when I saw him on television. Happy to see him in the black and gold. I think he is a welcomed addition to this squad. I mentioned earlier how Demario Davis, he can be a liability when it comes to the pass defense. Jalen Ford is made for that. He is a really good cover linebacker, and that is one of the Achilles heels of this Saints defense. So welcomed addition to the Who Dat Nation, Jalen Ford. Sticking with the defense, the Saints in the 6th round decided to address their defensive tackle needs with pick number 199. The New Orleans Saints selected defensive tackle Christian Boyd from Northern Iowa, and Boyd is 6'2", 320 pounds, and he played 6 seasons in Northern Iowa. He played in 49 games and recorded 149 tackles, 22.5 stops for loss, 10.5 sacks, 5 pass defenses, and 2 forced fumbles. This was also a need for the Saints to clog up that middle. I like this pick. Just another head to add to the rotation there. Good pick. Good pick from the New Orleans Saints. We move on to our final pick of the NFL draft. And in the 7th round, with pick number 239, the New Orleans Saints select offensive tackle Joseph Easram from Eastern Kentucky. And Joseph is 6'6", 320 pounds. In 5 seasons at Eastern Kentucky, Joseph actually started his college career as a defensive lineman. He started his first 2 years, 2019 and 2020, at defensive line, where he recorded 12 tackles in 19 games, and he converted to an offensive lineman in 2021, where he started 19 games at right tackle. And I'm gonna tell you, I like that. And the reason I like that, with him having experience on a defensive line, that lets me know that he can kind of pick out some tendencies from what the defensive linemen are doing, trying to rush the quarterback or stop the run or whatever the case may be, and he can neutralize it. Theoretically, I'm just throwing it out. Theoretically, but I think that's good. If he knows what a defensive lineman can do, and so also solid pick. Not gonna knock your socks off, but those are your picks for the New Orleans Saints in the 2024 NFL draft. Just to recap, in the first round, at pick number 14, Saints draft offensive tackle Talise Forega. I think I said his name right. In the second round, with the ninth pick, Saints draft cornerback Kool-Aid McKinley. In the fifth round, at number 15, Saints drafted quarterback Spencer Rattler. Also in the fifth round, with pick 35, Saints drafted wide receiver Bud Means. Another fifth round pick at number 40, linebacker Jalen Ford. Sixth round, pick number 23, defensive tackle Christian Boyd. And the final pick for the New Orleans Saints in the seventh round, offensive tackle Jose Easram. I think I said his name right as well. But those are your picks. The Saints did make some undrafted free agent signings as well. And here are the names for those undrafted free agents that the Saints picked up. From Oklahoma State, defensive end Nathan Latu. From TCU, safety Millard Bradford. From Ohio, wide receiver Jermaine Jackson. From Minnesota, defensive tackle Kyler Broad. From Vanderbilt, punter Matthew Hayball. From Colorado State, tight end Dylan Holker. From Yale, Ivy League fella, wide receiver Mason Tipton. From Slippery Rock, I never heard of this. This is a school. Somebody tell me, is this a real school? From Slippery Rock, wide receiver Kyle Sheets. From Boston College, guard Kyle Hargell. From Pittsburgh State, cornerback Rico Payton. From South Dakota State, linebacker Isaac Stallbird. From Louisiana Lafayette, that's where my daughter go to school at. Maybe she know this fella. Running back Jacob Kibati. From Tulane, center Sincere Hainsworth. I love that name. I bet you that fella is serious. And from Nebraska, we have guard Nati Nale. Believe I'm saying his name right. But those are your new additions to the New Orleans Saints this NFL draft. I tell you what, this season or this off season is getting out the way. We're already at May. We're a couple of days away from May, at least the time of this recording. And before you know it, you have mini camp. And then the month after that, you'll have training camp. And then the month after that, you'll have preseason. And we're on to the regular season. So no rest for the weary. We are off and running, and we need to get the ball rolling and get it rolling quickly, because we're in trouble as the Saints, as an organization, fan base. We are in trouble because I look around, and I don't look far. I don't look at all 32 teams. I just look at the 4 in this division. Just in the South, we're in trouble. Because I'm looking at teams making moves. One in particular, our hated rivals, the Atlanta Falcons. They are making moves, man. And it's like we're stagnant in ways. We're not really making any moves. I know we have money issues and contract locked in on deals that we shouldn't be locked in on in a lot of cases. But some of this, no, not some. Let me take that back. Most of this is self-inflicted. Most of this is because of the Saints and Mickey Loomis holding on to players way too long, signing players who are past their prime, and re-signing players who are past their prime because you're trying to hold on to them or show loyalty in some sense, and it's coming back to haunt us, and it's really biting us in the butt right now. And you know, we need to really do an evaluation of this team. This was the year, going into this off season. This was the year to kind of blow up everything and kind of start from scratch. Go back to formula. And yeah, that would have set us back a couple of years, but we already set back. Set back from what? We haven't won a division in 3 years. So it's time to it's time to get the ball rolling on bringing in some fresh young people to help this team look good moving forward in the future. Saints are it just seems like they're in win now mode for the last couple of years, and it's backfiring. And they put all their eggs in the baskets, and the baskets then knocked out their hands. All the eggs are cracked, and and we're stuck. And now they're in this limbo here where they're trying to win now but build for the future at the same time, and it's not working. So I need Mickey Loomis to get his head out of his behind and really look at this team and do what's right for this team, for this organization, for this fan base. Do you know how unique of a fan base the New Orleans Saints fans are? And this is me being one. Love this team through all the ups and downs and the pinnacle of winning the Super Bowl in '09 and wearing the bags on our heads back in the '80s, and going through these the Dicker eras and the Hazlitt eras, and and all these eras. You can link Dennis Allen with that too. These horrible eras in this franchise. They only experienced victory, true victory, one time, and still be loyal to a team that it feels like at times isn't loyal to us. It's hard, man. It is seriously hard. And at the end of last season, I was dead serious that I was going to end the Dome Patrol podcast, that I wasn't going to talk New Orleans Saints. But my heart won't let me. I had to stop myself when we signed Chase Young, and we signed a couple of pieces in the free agency period. And I was going to do a show about that. And I stopped myself. I said, no. I said I wasn't going to do no more. I'm not doing no more. And when the draft ended and I felt a little encouragement from the draft, I drunk the Kool-Aid, no pun intended. I drunk the Kool-Aid and I went ahead and prepared this show. And it's no brainer. I knew it. And I think I said it when I recorded that episode last season, at the end of the season. I'll be back. And I knew I was going to be back because I love this team so much. But this is an encouraging draft. But we can bring in all the Hall of Famers out of Canton, Ohio. We could do whatever and put them in black and gold. It don't mean nothing if Dennis Allen is the head coach. I'm still on that train. That haven't went nowhere. Dennis Allen is a bad coach. He's not a good coach at all in no aspect. And so I still feel that we're not going to do anything this season. I'm just going to have hope that we do. We just don't go out there and embarrass ourselves like we did last year. Those were some embarrassing losses that we experienced last season. Just unbelievable. And so that's my prayer going into this season. I wish these young crop of new Saints all the luck in the world. I pray they can contribute to this team in a successful way, that we can taste some level of success that we have been deprived of for the past 3 seasons under Dennis Allen. And so we shall see. But I like to know, what do you think of the picks? Are you happy with the picks? Do you think the Saints should have moved up and got somebody else? I don't know. I know a lot of people were upset because the Saints didn't move up to get Jaden Daniels. That was never going to happen. Jaden Daniels could have failed to 14, and the Saints wouldn't have picked him. That wasn't going to happen. Saints picked the quarterback in the 5th round, and that's exactly what they were going to do. They were not going to pick a quarterback in the 1st round, especially Jaden Daniels. I don't know why people were on that kick. I never believed that. I remember when Michael Penix Jr. made the statement that he wanted to be a Saint, and the world went crazy. Like, oh man, we're gonna get Michael Penix Jr. He's never gonna fall to 14, and Atlanta knew that. That's why they picked him. That's what they made sure he didn't fall to 14. But I would like to know, did you think the Saints made all the right moves to improve this team for the future? Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You could also search for this show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network, as well as the KB Radio Network channel on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel, like this video. Also, don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the Dome Patrol podcast, your podcast for the New Orleans Saints here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this recap of the NFL draft this season and looking over all of the picks, all of the undrafted free agents that the Saints brought in. Oh boy, football. We're almost there. We're almost there. But until we get there, you're going to continue to hear me scream every single day, who dat?